To log into GoGuardian, you're going to log on to Clever and scroll down to DD2 resources. You'll find GoGuardian, and it has like this blue shield as an icon. If you want to favorite this, you can click on that heart so it goes up to the very top part of your icon so that you can get to it easily. But you're just going to click on it. And when you first get in, it may take a little bit to kind of just um, get all your classes together, and it'll also show you this agreement that you have to agree to. And so whenever you read this agreement, you do have to scroll all the way to the bottom in order to sign this. So as you're reading this, you're just going to keep on going. And once you get to the bottom, that should give you a little checkbox right here. You're going to click on it. You're going to click accept. And then again, read this. And then at the very bottom, do a little checkbox and click accept. Okay, so now whenever this comes up, you can just say got it, and that will go away. You can also X out of this as that comes up as well. Now, it's going to take you to this classrooms page, and you're going to see that your classrooms are pending right here on the side. So you're going to click on pending, and you're going to just accept any of the classes that are your classes that are in your PowerSchool. And so for the most part, this will be all of your classes in there. And you just need to accept the ones that you are going to be looking at. So I'm just going to click on a couple to accept. Again, naturally, you're going to click on all of them that you would want in there and have inside your classrooms. And it'll say up here, success. Now, if I move to my active classes here, I'll now see that I have those 2 classes that I've accepted. Now, you should not add any classrooms in here because this is being imported through PowerSchool. The classes will be populated by PowerSchool so that your kids are up to date. The student rosters are up to date at all times. All right, so if you want to drill into a specific classroom itself, you're going to click on it. And GoGuardian is going to ask you to start a new session. So sessions are what GoGuardian uses every single time you want to look at your students browsing as they're on their device. So it's going to say, when will class be over? And you can pick from any of these options here, or you can click a custom end time. So if you do have a time that your specific class is going to end, then you can go ahead and put in that class. So let's say my class is now going to end at, let's say, 12:51. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then we'll talk about scenes in a minute. A little bit later, but this part right here where it says want to exclude students from this session, this will allow you to exclude any students that are absent for the day, so you don't need to look at their device and manage what's going on in there. So you can just click on their names and they will go gray, and then they won't be inside this session. If you made a mistake, just click on them again and they'll turn back to the regular. Now, this is really important to actually start and put an end time to your session, because if you have a student inside the session and you don't end the session for that student, another teacher later can't place them inside their session to see what they're doing on the computer. So make sure you actually set an end time so that whenever they leave your classroom, it shuts them off from GoGuardian, and then another teacher um, can start a session with that student. All right, so you can start that session for them. But before we do that, I want to show you real quick, if you have sessions or classes that will start and end at the same time every single day, you can go actually to the settings here on the left-hand side. Remember, I was in my classrooms, and this is the classroom that I'm in. So if I go to the settings tab right here, there is a tab at the top that's called scheduling. And if you click up here, you can actually add your session based on a specific time. So if this class right here met at 12:51 until 1:25 every single day, I can put that time in here. Oops, there we go. And I can put that time here, 12:51 p.m. and then change this to, let's just say 54 just for that sake. And then you can set what days of the week that's going to happen, and then you add it to your schedule. And then you would do that for all of your classes. So that basically what that does is as soon as your kids get into class at that time, it's going to go ahead and start the GoGuardian session for you. So you don't have to worry about starting the session and then also ending the session so that other teachers can get into it as well. So we highly recommend you setting a schedule. If you are one of those teachers who do share a whole bunch of kids, and if you do have a schedule that's kind of more set, that you're able to do that session. So I'm going to drill back down into the sessions part here, and we'll just pretend right now that it's going to be 45 minutes. Okay. And then, like I said, you can exclude here. We'll apply scenes a little bit later. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the session. All right, so when you start your session, I just picked the time limit here. But if you do want to update your time, so let's say you only put 45 minutes and you want to add more time, you can actually extend your time by clicking on any of these blue bubbles here. You can double click so that it actually does increments of time of that time period that you've clicked on, or you can actually set and just go ahead and type in the actual time you want it to end. So if I was going to say 1 o'clock, and now I can update that session. Okay. Um, Up here at whenever you're looking at all of these students on your screen, you can actually click on the actual student here, and you can actually see exactly what this student is working on and what they see on their computer. On the right-hand side right here, you'll see the tabs that they have open. So they have these tabs open. And basically, if you see any of the students not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you can actually come over to the right-hand side where it says close and click close, and it'll close that tab out for that student on their computer. You can also see the apps that they have open. So if you click on the apps tab, and this is just kind of giving you a reminder that if you do close something out for that student, that you might actually lose some of their work on accident if they didn't save it. So just make sure that if there are any documents or apps that they have open, that you tell them before you close it, just so that you don't accidentally lose information for that student. Um, Also, you can chat with them. So if, and this is just from teacher to student, so no students can message each other, but you can chat with this student, and a little green box would pop up to the bottom left. And what would happen is that you can talk to that student and say, you know, if they're not doing the right thing, you can say, please get back on task, and then send them that message, and a little chat bubble will pop up on their screen so that they know to get back to what they need to be getting back to. Down here at the bottom, you can also click on exclude students. So if you don't want the student to be inside your session anymore so that you can see their screen, then you can X out and exclude them. This open new tab right here is if you click on this, you actually can open a tab for them on their computer, and it'll pop up on their computer screen for them. You can lock their device, so if they're not following directions and they're not doing what they're supposed to, you can click on lock device, and that will stop them from doing anything that you've told them to stop doing. And then you can also screenshot. So if you see that a student is doing something that they're not supposed to be doing and you need some proof for disciplinary action, you can click on screenshot. and that will take a picture of that student's screen for them, or for you, excuse me. All right, so if I X out of that, whenever, if you do click screenshot, this is actually where it's going to go. It's going to be in this tab right here, and then you'll see any of those screenshots that's been done. If I go back to the screens here, um, I can chat with the students, and I would just click on select all students. And then I can also do the same things that I was doing for the one student, but I can do it for all of my students that I've check marked. So I can open a new tab for them. I can lock all the students if I needed to because I wanted them to stop working. I can unlock all their devices all at once, and then I can also exclude them from the session if I needed to. Right now the chat is on, so you can turn on and off the chat as that works. You can do that as well. Right, you can also click these off task alerts and turn those on. And when you turn them on, what you're going to do is click on this subject and pick your subject from the drop down menu. Now these are the subjects that are listed in here, so not every single subject is in there, but if you go through and actually click on your subject, you will also at the bottom be able to select your sensitivity. So you can have lenient, moderate, or strict. And basically what this is doing is if you click a certain subject, so let's say history, and a student goes to a website that isn't related to history, then it's going to highlight them and turn them yellow right inside this box. And basically, that's just telling you that they're going to places that aren't related to your subject. Now, this is not perfect, so there are some things that you think is okay for the kids to go to. So let's say they're doing a project and they had to, Google something on history, and it may not be exactly related, but they are still doing the assignment. They still might turn yellow inside their box here. So that kind of goes back to the whole sensitivity if you want it lenient, moderate, or strict down here. So for timelines, timelines is the second tab whenever you're inside your class. You'll have all of your kids listed down here, and actually this will run in live time, and it'll show you the things that the kids are on. So some of these apps, like this is Word, that's Google. So you can see what they're on as they're going through. Now, this is a fictional school, so some of these things, like this says Facebook, but our filter won't let the students get through to Facebook. So you don't have to worry about things like that. So you can watch this and kind of see what the kids are working on as the class or the session goes on. This yellow shaded part right here is anytime the kids are off task. So remember we talked about those off task alerts. If you turn that on, you'll see that they've quote unquote went to a website that is not on task according to your subject. The other tab inside here is call students, and actually our district has not enabled any of these features. And basically the reason why is because we already have these features in Teams, so that we just use these features in Teams so that we don't get confused and have too many places that we do these certain things. The other thing you can do with your classrooms, notice how right up here I have my Gateway to Technology class up here. If I wanted to start 2 classes, I can actually click on this class, start my session, and then now I should see both of my sessions at the top right here. And if I need to toggle back and forth, I'll just click on the name and it'll take me back to the other class. Notice how this class says I only have 4 minutes remaining in this session. And this one will tell me this is the one I'm actually looking at. All right. And to end the session, all you'll do is go over to this red end session button and just click end session. It's going to ask you to confirm it, and you just click end session. So the other thing you can do within GoGuardian is set a scene. So you can either do scenes here or you can do scenes in the actual class itself. So whenever you click on no scene applied here, you can say create a scene here. And like I said, you can also create scenes starting over here. And basically, you'll call this a scene, whatever name you want to call this scene. And what scenes do is they set rules for the session. So if you only want your students to use this website, then you can set it to where they only use that website. Or if you want to make sure that they don't click on certain things, then you can also do different kind of modes to do that. So I'm just going to call this my pirate theme, whatever. You can add a description if you want to. So down here you have two different filters. You have allow mode and you have block mode. With allow mode, what essentially it's doing is it's going to let the students view the websites except for the ones that you place down here. And then if you want to do block mode, you just click this little toggle right here, and then it turns to block mode. And what block mode does is that the only thing that the students can go to will be whatever you place inside this little field right here. Now, I do want to give a small caveat to all this. We still do have the student web filter that can see places on the students' devices. So the students still can't get on to different websites that we have blocked. So even if you um, allow them to go to some of those sites, then they still can't go to it. Um, or you don't have to add things in here if they're already being blocked. So this is just an added filter on top of our internet filter that we have currently. All right. The other thing you can do in here is what they call wildcards. And so GoGuardian allows you to put a keyword with between asterisks. So let's say you don't want them to look at anything with the URL inside the URL has the word games. So if you add that into your block sites, anything that has the word games inside the URL, the students won't be able to get to. Now, keep in mind that sometimes there are educational things that will have this keyword inside that URL, and it'll inadvertently block the students from getting to certain websites. I mean, you just didn't think about it. So just keep that in mind that that's one of the things that um, might be an issue if kids can't get to certain things. Right. The other thing you can do is on the side right here, you can add lists. And actually, GoGuardian already has some quick lists that they've created. So, like they have Hoot and Mifflin already in here, or they have Kahoot, that type of thing. So now this right here, it says select list that you want to add this scene's block sites. So if you want to add some anything that you don't want them to go to. So let's say they're going to, um, let me just put on here, I mean, none of these right here are anything that you probably would want to block, but you can create a list to where you can add certain URLs that you don't want them to already go to, and you click on it. Now, if I change this to block mode, oops, if I change this to block mode, notice this now says allowed sites. So if you click on one of these quick lists, if I click on that one, that means that the students can only go to these sites that have Hoot and Mifflin in it, or they can only go to Kahoot. And then you would just add that list, and then that would be part of your scene. All right, notice they're over here. And then you can also add more sites along with these lists that you've added in there. Again, you can create and edit some of these lists if you want to. GoGuardian recommends that you don't create too many of these, and that they recommend you use those wildcards instead, or add these allowed sites in here. Because sometimes what would happen is you accidentally only allow certain websites within these lists, and then you have more problems because the kids can't get to certain websites. So they do recommend that you use those wildcards where you have the keyword in between the asterisks first. Scrolling down a little bit, you have tab management. And so basically what this is you can add URLs in here. So whenever you start your session and apply the scene, um, any of these URLs that you've added into this tab are what's going to pop up for those kids automatically at the start of your class period, or the class of your or the start of your session. Um, Now, if you don't put on the block mode here, they can still go to other websites, even though you've auto-opened those websites first. It just means that these will be the ones that are in the forefront, so that you don't have to tell them to type a certain thing to go to a certain website. It'll already be on their computer as they enter class. So scrolling down here, you also have maximum open tabs. So you can set how many tabs you want this student to be able to open. So right now there's no limit, so they can just keep on opening tabs as many times as they want to. But you might want to set it to where they can only have 3 tabs open. And um, and if you set it to 3, what's going to happen is if they try to open more than 3, it's going to automatically shut down that 4th one every single time. So if, a student is saying, I can't, upload, or, I mean, not upload, but I can't get onto another tab, make sure, you haven't accidentally set their open tabs to a certain limit, if you don't want them to have a limit. And then notice down here, there is no save down here, so you do have to scroll all the way back up and actually save your scene here. So whenever you save your scene, I'll go back to save here. And then now you can see that I have this pirate theme scene here. And so if I were going to go back to my classes here, and start my session again because it ended. When I go to no scene applied, notice how my pirate theme ended up right here. So now it pops up as one of your saved scenes. All right, and if you go back to your scenes here, if you don't like that pirate theme there anymore, you can actually just delete it, and then you don't have that scene anymore. All right, I'm actually going to go back here so I can end this session. Notice also if you are in your classrooms tab, notice that any of the sessions that you've started actually shows up inside this list right here. All right, and you have your calendar. So if you do set some scenes in here, you'll see where you've done scenes, and then you also will be able to see where you have scheduled your classes to pop up. Notice that on Saturday and Sunday, these are disabled, so you can't start a session whenever your students are on the weekend. Right. The next thing you have is these student reports. So you're going to click on the classroom that you want, and then you can pick a student. So I'm just going to pick this student right here. And the time range that you can pick, it goes for as much as 30 days. So you can see what the student did for past 30 days. And actually, and GoGuardian saves up to 6 months worth of data for each student. All right, so I'm just going to leave it as the 1 day. And then you can generate the report. As you spend more time, what you'll see is that these start populating. So it'll show you the top 5 websites the student was on, the top 5 documents, Google searches, and then down here will be their interventions. So if you've had to lock their screens any, if you had to close out their tabs, that type of thing. If they've tried to access a blocked site, it'll also show you that. And then any screenshots that you've had to take for this student is on there as well. And then down at the bottom, you'll see a big list of all of the things that the student has gone in the time range that you've specified. You can also get notifications through emails. If you go back to your Classrooms tab, click on your class, go to your settings, and here where it says reporting, it's going to say enable session report emails. So this is going to give you a summary report after every single session that you do based on what you saw the student, what GoGuardian saw the students do. So if this becomes too many emails for you, you can actually toggle this off and turn it off so you don't get an email every single time. And down here to the left, you also have your help. So if there is something that you need and you can't get support right away, you can click on this left-hand side for help, and they have their training videos, and then you have how-to guides as well.